Thanks for your company once again. Wednesday morning, a final year student of the Gushegu Midwifery School, Cecilia Awuni, was sacked from the examination hall. Cecilia is married and was about to write the fourth of 6 papers and will have completed the course in the school this Friday. But the principal of the school has asked her to go home and return to school next year because she's pregnant. Joy News' Manasseh Zuri Awuni is here with me to tell us more about the stories of other students who suffered similar fate. Hello, Manasseh.
Hi, Benis.
Now, tell us more about this story, rather interesting development.
Well, I got a call, that was Tuesday evening when I closed and I was going home. I got a call from the husband of this woman who said the wife was pregnant and was in the process of finishing her course. Actually, tomorrow is Friday. She will have finished the program because it's the last semester. And this young man said on Tuesday, when she finished her paper, that was about 5 p.m., the principal called her and told her not to come to the exam hall the following day. That's yesterday in the morning. And the reason was that she was pregnant. And it was so late to even get authorities or anybody to speak to. Yes, but I advised that the following day, that was yesterday, she should go to the exam hall and then let's see what would happen. In the morning, he called again and said the woman went to the exam hall when they were about to start the paper. They came and called her and asked her to leave the examination hall. So I went to the Nursing and Midwifery Council to find out whether there's actually a law or a policy, because they regulate these health training institutions, the midwifery and nursing training schools across the country. And they said they don't have any such law, they don't have any such policy, and they even admitted it contravenes the Constitution of the Republic to deny someone such an opportunity. But they explained that the schools, that's the principals of these schools, have reasons they don't allow girls or women to be pregnant, and that it would be very difficult because they would have to do some practical work in the hospitals.
Sure. But you spoke to this woman, and did she tell you she was aware of such a regulation, even though it contravenes our constitution or our laws?
Yes, I spoke to the husband.
Okay.
And from the look of things, they are aware. Besides, this is not the only institution. It happens in a lot of them. I can't say all, but I know a lot of them. In Jirapa last year, for instance, we had a young woman who was pregnant, and she had even completed her course. It was left to the external, the licensing exams. And they said they wouldn't allow her to write. And so she had to go to the doctor, split with them to use some medical means to force her to deliver before her time so she could. And the principal, the registrar, he said, okay, these rules exist. And I said, look, there is no family planning method that is 100% foolproof. So if someone is married, are you going to say they shouldn't have sex? He said, oh, that one, nobody can say they shouldn't have sex. And so what if it happens accidentally? And this is a case that the lady in question has never absented herself from school. She's not complained to anybody that she couldn't write. And by tomorrow, she would have just finished and left. But they say, go home and come the following year. So it happens, and across the country, some are even not able to even come forward and report, because this particular school, I was there when he called the principal of the school, and she said about 5 young women have been asked to go home. So it's not only this lady alone.
So let me get this clear. She was asked to leave the examination room not because she showed signs of discomfort, or probably maybe throwing up or doing something that would distract the other her other colleagues who were writing the exam. Neither did she complain. She was just asked to leave because she was pregnant.
Just because she was pregnant, and she even protested that she is fine, she is fit, and if she is prepared to write the exams, leave her. If she writes, and you are not going to say because she's pregnant, you're going to lower her marking scheme. No, it's as competitive as anyone else. So why don't you allow her to write? But the school authorities insisted that she would have to go and the following year come and join the next graduating class. And this means she would have to come for classes, because if you stay away from school for 1 full year, you may forget some of the things that have been taught. So she would have to come and continue. When maybe in 72 hours or less, this young woman would have been done with school.
So this is merely because she flouted a certain regulation, that is that you shouldn't get pregnant while in the midwifery school.
Yes, and they have also admitted, I mean the midwifery, Nursing and Midwifery Council have admitted, we've spoken to some officials, and they have admitted that those regulations contravene the provisions of our constitution.
All right, Manasseh, let me just ask you to pause there because we've got the husband of this lady. His name is James Ajusinyin for more. Hello, sir. Thanks for your time this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, how are you and how's your wife doing?
Well, we are very, very happy and we are following the discussions that are coming up. But we are only worried about the unfortunate incident that has to go this far.
Okay, so where is she now and what is she doing? Manasseh tells me that he asked her to go back. He suggested that she goes back to sit for her papers, but she was asked to leave again. So what is happening now and what's she doing?
Yeah, yesterday we actually asked her to go. She went and then they drove her away. I told her to go back and sit and request for the paper. She went the second time, they still drove her away. So I said, fine, she should go back home. The school is not accommodating third years. They are renting. Okay. Right now, she's within the environment of Gushegu, but she's not in the school as of now.
So you're not with her at the moment, are you?
No, please. I was actually in a workshop yesterday. I left Kumasi yesterday in the night, so I just got to Northern Region. I think that was yesterday we got here.
This must be quite a trying moment for you. But what do you intend to do from here since she wasn't allowed to take part in the exams? Well, we are hoping that the Midwifery Council would step into this matter. But if it's not done, what do you hope to do?
Well, I'm currently in discussions with my lawyer, and he has indicated that we need to take this matter up. So we are going to take it up. Okay,
and so you've had to leave your job, is that it? Just to give your wife some support?
Yes, if it means taking a leave, I've not taken my leave yet. So if it means taking my leave to do that, I wouldn't mind doing that.
But when you speak to your wife, does she tell you that she was aware of this regulation?
Well, yes, she was aware of the regulation. But the regulation is ambiguous. Ambiguous because it's like almost all the schools in the northern part of Ghana I am aware of have the same regulation. But this morning I spoke with one of the principals. So what she told me was that in her place, if you are pregnant and you give birth within the semester, you may have to be counseled to, pause, go and breastfeed the baby for maybe the 3 months maternity leave, and then come back and join. So in that case, you may have to defer the course. But if you are pregnant and you may deliver after their last paper, that is the end of semester exams, they have no business allowing you to go home. They will allow you to decide whether you want to write or you want to defer the course.
Interesting. But James, was this directive communicated via is it just a norm? Is it something they just know, or it's actually written down for students in their handbook or something of the sort?
I think when I inquired from her, there are pieces of paper, the rights, rules and regulations.
Okay.
So they may just be 4 leaflets, 3 leaflets, or even 6. So they print that and then hand over to the students and tell them these are the regulations.
Okay. And in this case, can you help us with specifics? Do you know what the specific regulation is?
Well, I think I might not be able to
tell
exactly.
Okay. That's fine, James. But what stage of pregnancy is your wife in now?
My wife is about 7 to 8 months pregnant.
Okay, but we know for sure that she would have finished writing all her papers by Friday.
Yes, please. Tomorrow she would have written her very last paper. And in fact, that would have been the end of the story in her school. And the external exam that she would have written, that is supposed to start July and end on the 16th of August. That exam is purely the duty of the Nursing and Midwifery Council. The school has no hand in it.
Okay.
It is only a mode through which the forms go through and allow the students to register, and then the school will send them to NMC. But they have no control over that exam.
Interesting. James, finally, before you go, has she been telling you why the school decided to allow her write some of her papers? Because that's the interesting part. She wrote some papers and then she was denied writing the others. Does the school explain why?
Yes, the school probably should have taken the advantage of talking to me. But when I said I was in a workshop in Kumasi.
Okay.
So according to her, the principal called her after their paper, the third paper for that matter, and then instructed her to come to the office. So when she got to the office, the principal told her that she should go and bring a letter and defer the course because she's pregnant. So she called and told me, and what I told her was that she should hold on. I'll call the principal. I had the number. So I called the principal and then explained that my wife actually told me something. So I needed a first-hand information from the principal. So she asked who was my wife. So I said, Awuni Cecilia. And when she realized that was the case, she told me there was nothing to talk about. I wanted to plead for more time just to be able to talk out with her. She hung up the call on me. She didn't even listen to me.
Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. James Ajusinye is the husband of the victim. Bless you too. At the center of this issue. Manasseh, I'm just curious because I don't know how big is this school, and is it possible that the authorities did not know she was pregnant while attending classes? Because if the directive is that you should not be pregnant, she's 7 months pregnant, and I'm sure they should have seen it earlier. Why wait till this time when the person just has about 7 papers to write to finish her course?
Well, Benny, that's what beats my imagination, because pregnancy cannot be hidden for that long, and she attends lectures. And I don't really know, but I don't also think that's even the most important part. The most important part is whether or not the school has what it takes to stop somebody from continuing. And like he said, they are even not in the school that you may say, okay, if she gives birth or she's pregnant, there's going to be some form of inconvenience on her colleagues. She's rented and she's home, so she comes to lectures like anyone else. Perhaps in the university you come back home. The following day you go for lectures and come back home. So I don't really know what really the problem is, that they wouldn't allow her to write today, tomorrow, she's done and she's gone. I don't really know.
All right, Manasseh, but you spoke to the Nursing and Midwifery Council, and that's the regulatory body in charge of nursing and midwifery schools. You want to find out whether the council has any views or laws and policies that back this action. Well, you spoke to the head of public relations at the Nursing and Midwifery School. Let's just listen to what he had to say.
As far as the council is concerned, we don't have a policy, neither do we have a law that bars pregnant women from writing their examination. But however, it depends on the situation. There are a series of procedures that we advise our stakeholders to go through when they encounter such issues.
And what are some of these things?
Basically, every school has a counseling committee, and it is expected that when the school encounters such issues, they take the pregnant woman through counseling to ensure that she defers her course, goes home, deliver safely, then comes back to complete the education. Because the nursing midwifery education involves both theory and practicals. And after going through the theory aspect, you also have to go and exhibit what you have learned in class at the clinical areas. So if you are found that you are pregnant, and you know the issues that surrounds pregnancy. So even though we don't have a law or a policy that bars our candidates from writing the examination, it is prudent that they are taken through counseling, and if it is found that there is a need for them to defer their course so that they have a safe...
There's also a concern that even with the practical aspect, we have nurses who are also pregnant and they work until they deliver. How about that one too?
See, the nature of their work is quite different from what they experience when they are at school. Because if you are working, then it means that there are certain tasks that you will not be allowed to undertake because of your pregnancy. But if you are a student, you are supposed to fulfill all requirements before you are given the opportunity to write the licensing examination. Because for you to become an eligible candidate for the licensing examination, it means that you would have gone through the basic educational requirements, that is the theory and the practicals. Then you'll be qualified for the licensing examination. And if all these are not fulfilled, then my brother, I don't think that you will be well prepared to write the examination. So it's a different ball game altogether. If you are in a working field, depending on your situation, there are some tasks you will not be allowed to do. But if you are a student, because you are supposed to fulfill all requirements, every task will have to be accomplished. So, as I indicated, in the wisdom of our principals and professionals, I think that when a woman is in such a situation, even the psychological conditions that she will go through will not make her even, well prepared.
So that was the PRO of the Nursing and Midwifery Council speaking to my colleague Manasseh Azuri there. But Manasseh, the registrar has also been speaking, and you were in that interview session with him on the Super Morning Show.
Yes, there's a very interesting development from what this man has said as the PRO. The registrar also sought to be saying the same thing. They sought to justify or give reasons for these acts. But on the Super Morning Show, when the registrar spoke, that's Mr. Felix Nyante, he categorically distanced the NMC, that's the Nursing and Midwifery Council, distanced themselves from this particular directive, and that he said it was unacceptable and they were going to do something about it. So it looks like there are issues, and I'm aware it happened in other places. Yeah. I'm told even in Mampong, they had to intervene last year to allow the students to write. So this is just one of many cases that are happening across the country.
Interesting, but there's a charge ruling that states that a pregnant woman should not be prevented from writing exams due to her condition. But I have on the line Dr. Paddy Aite, a gynecologist, because like Manasseh said, this story has brought a lot more light to other stories that we may not have heard. And his wife was actually involved in a similar case. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. What's your wife's story?
She was a student in a midwifery training school. She got pregnant, albeit despite her best intentions to avoid it. And then she was asked to withdraw. She said she was able to continue the school and she didn't have a problem with continuing her education. And they still put some pressure on her to withdraw. I actually went with her to go and see the school authorities and told them, we've done everything possible to ensure that she can continue as comfortably as possible. And she hasn't presented any sick leave. She hasn't requested for any excuse. She's doing her ward work. She's doing her attending lectures. She's passing her exams. So she should be allowed to continue. But they said no, and then eventually wrote a letter sacking her from school.
They sacked her?
Not withdraw. No, they sacked her. They sacked her, wrote a letter. Now, the funny thing about this is that they sacked her from school not to go home and rest, but to go to work on the ward.
Interesting.
So not to go home and rest, but to go to work on the ward. And so they started there from school to go back to work on the ward. So we took the case to charge and felt, but because of unconstitutional, it was wrong. So we took the case to charge, and charge ruled in 2002. And a charge ruling is a High Court ruling, right? Ruled in 2002 that it is wrong, it's against our constitution, that the pregnant woman in the midwifery training school should not be sent home, and instructed the Ministry of Health to remove that regulation from all midwifery training schools.
Okay.
In 2002.
So in your case, was she enrolled back into the school?
Yes, I mean, at that time, we took the case in 2001, the ruling was in 2002, and one of the reliefs was that she should be allowed to go back to the school and complete the period that she hadn't completed. So she went back to school and completed 6 months, and wrote her exam and passed, and moved on.
Interesting.
So this is in 2002. How anybody could be suffering this thing today? Because you see, there is no sensible reason for that policy. It makes no sense to anybody. Call the principal, ask her to defend the reason. And I don't think she'll be able to. I'm a gynecologist. I'm not a physician in this case. That's even more relevant. I look after pregnant women all the time. And we encourage them, go to work. Pregnancy is not a disease. She should be able to cope. There are mechanisms that she should cope. It is not a problem at all. Somebody is 4 months pregnant, writing her final examination. Nothing stops her from. If one of my clients tells me that when she's pregnant, that's when she's at her smartest. When she delivers, her brain goes down. But when she's pregnant, she can write exams fine and do well. This morning. So, I mean, are we trying to say that pregnancy is not mental retardation? Are we trying to say that because you are pregnant, you should stop going to work? So if you are pregnant and you are working in that institution, are you allowed to sit at home for 9 months because you are pregnant? Because pregnancy means you shouldn't go to work. But if you are pregnant, you are allowed to work. Why is it that if you are pregnant, you are not allowed to speak? What medical reason is there for it? And tell me, being a student in a school and then actually practicing the profession, in this case midwifery, practicing midwifery is, I'm sure, 10 times harder than being a student. So it's not that the work they give them is excessive.
Okay.
As a student, so they cannot cope. There's no medical reason. And if there's a medical reason, it must come from the client's doctor.
Okay.
Say that because of the following health reasons, it is our recommended thing that the school should consider. And if the school should say, no, we think you can do it. We have other institutions, when you are pregnant, they will actually even bring exams to you for you to write.
Exactly.
They will support you as much as possible. You've had people, invigilators carry people's babies so that they can write exams. But these people are saying that if you are a student in the school that teaches you how to look after pregnant women, it forbids you from being a pregnant woman yourself.
Okay.
How does that make sense? In fact, I don't even think they know why they are doing what they're doing. Honestly.
All right, Dr. Paddy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Also, Dr. Paddy is a gynecologist, and he's sharing a similar story that his wife had to go through in 2002. But they took the issue to SHRASH, and SHRASH asked that the school take her back, and they did. But as it stands now, we know that Cecilia has missed the opportunity and right to complete her program per the school's academic calendar. Any remedies under this circumstance? Let's speak to human rights lawyer Francis Sosu Xavier for some insight on this rather disturbing phenomenon. Hello, good morning, Mr. Sosu. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, and a very good morning to cherished viewers and listeners.
Well, now, would you say that Cecilia's right has been abused in this case, and can she consider any legal remedies, and what are those options available to her?
Absolutely. Cecilia's right has been abused. You know, it is very important for this to be placed in the appropriate context. Now, when you look at Article 12 of the 1992 Constitution, it makes it very clear that every individual in Ghana, regardless of gender, shall be entitled to the protection of their fundamental human rights. And unfortunately, what is happening in the case of Cecilia is a clear case of discrimination, which is inconsistent with Article 17.1 and 17.2 of the 1992 Constitution, because Article 17.1 says that we will all be equal before the law and 17.2 says that no one shall be discriminated against on the basis of gender. In fact, it mentions other things, but for our purposes, we will be confining ourselves to gender. And again, that policy that is available to these schools also violates the United Nations Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW, because the essence of the CEDAW is actually supposed to protect women against practices and policies such as these, such that a woman is disadvantaged merely because of her biological makeup, and that allows her to become pregnant at some point in time. Because it doesn't really make sense that Cecilia, who is, in her late 20s, married last year, and is in school, and we are saying that there's a policy that forbids her from becoming pregnant. Clearly, that is unthinkable. This is a clear case where in law school we describe as, the policies against natural law. It doesn't sit, in line with what is prescribed, what naturally comes to you as something must be law that must be obeyed. This is a policy that cannot be obeyed, and it violates the Constitution and violates her rights. And under these circumstances, I believe that she is entitled to stand remedies in the law court against the school.
So what are the options available to her here, lawyer?
Well, the family already contacted me, and we are instituting a civil action, which is a human rights action against the school and also against the Ministry of Health. And all the other institutions that coordinate these examinations. We have the Health Training Institute Secretariat that is also in charge of this coordination. I recall this thing came up last year, and Shirajan, made it clear that the policy violates their rights and that they shouldn't be allowed to be discriminated against in this manner. I don't know why it is recurring this year.
All right, thank you very much for sharing the legal perspective with us, lawyer Francis Susu Xavier, a human rights lawyer, commenting on this matter. So, Manasseh, well, of course, this has become a very huge national conversation, and everybody's talking about it on social media as well. But what do we hope to achieve going forward?
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to perhaps find a way of stopping it. As they're going to court, if the court rules in their favor, then it's not going to apply to only this Gushegu Midwifery Training School alone, but all other health training institutions that have these regulations or rules. And a lot of people are going to be free because you don't know, somebody had to go through forced labor of a sort to deliver before her time. And this morning on the Super Morning Show, she recounted how difficult and even dangerous it was. She could have lost her life. You may not know who may even be tempted to abort in order to complete this course successfully. Because there are some people who really go through a lot of struggle to be able to pay their fees. So when they are left with 3 days and ask them to go and come back the following year to register and do everything, it's going to cost money, and not everyone will go that way. So there are likely to be other very deadly consequences if these practices are not stopped. And we hope that next year we wouldn't be talking about this, because it happens every year, but normally they are not treated comprehensively. Maybe that one person goes to the NMC or goes to see some people, they plead the rights. And like this woman said, there are many other women who, the principal, but there are many other women in that institution who were asked to go home, and they packed and left. And I spoke to one nurse, Sarah Danya. She was at Jirapa Nursing and Midwifery Training School last year when it happened. And she said some of these women go home and they don't come back. And she mentioned names of some of these nurses who went, delivered, and they did not come back to continue the program. So at the end of the day, we are not only delaying their destiny, but sometimes we're just cutting it short.
Thank you very much, Manasseh Zuri Owuni. He broke the story about this nursing student who was stopped from writing her examination simply because she is pregnant. We'll follow the story keenly. Hopefully something good will come up for Cecilia Owuni. You're watching Joy News Desk. We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, I'll be giving you some more information on the meeting that was held by the National Council of the New Patriotic Party. Please stay with us.